So golf course management, we could definitely all be better at it. Today's video, I'm going to play 5 holes. I'm going to run you through all the different things that I would be thinking about. It's going to be random shots. I don't know what I'm even going to talk about yet, but as I come across different things on the golf course, I'm going to talk you through what I would think, talk you through some of the options in different scenarios, improve your course management, improve your shot selection, improve your club selection, and ultimately all of this will lead to lower scores. So we're on the 13th hole. It's a really long par 5, fairly narrow, dog leg left. It's a play it as you see it hole. So par 5, you've just got to hit a good shot. There's trees on the right hand side. There's probably more space on the left hand side. So if you favour the left side of the fairway, that's what I'm going to try and do. Pre-shot routine wise, this is definitely something that I think a lot of people struggle with or don't have. So in my pre-shot routine, I always think about a think box. So imagine a big box here and the play box. And basically in the think box, we're going to gather all the information. So exactly what we've done there. We're going to pick a target line. We're going to see where the trouble is. We're going to decide what our intention is. Maybe even try and visualize the shot. Have some practice swings with 1 or 2 swing thoughts, thinking about what could help you. So for me at the moment, it's about being connected with my arms and rotation of the body. Arms connected and rotate the body. So I'm doing that in the think box. Then what I do is I come behind the ball, pick my target line. Some people like to pick a spot in front. I like to pick something quite far away. For me, I've got a tree in the distance. I'm aiming for a branch just left of centre of the fairway. One more repetition of what I want to try and do. Really focused on my target, and then that is the trigger to go. Whoa, get left. So that's the first swing of the day, and I'm actually okay with that. It's on the right edge of fairway / semi-rough. Actually probably a decent place to be. So that would be my process for every single shot. Think box, play box. I do it automatically. It's definitely something that would be really, really helpful. Swing thoughts, practice swings here. Gather all the information here. When you step forward to go over the ball, you don't have 1,000,001 swing thoughts. It's play golf time. Pick your target, react to your target, hit the shot that you intended, and then from there, once you've hit your shot, it's time to maybe rip your glove off, forget about it, and then move on. So this isn't my normal coaching video, but I've had a lot of requests for this, both from all my online students, had a lot of this, and people on YouTube. And I think ultimately there's so much focus right now online on having a sexy swing, having a closed club face, lots of hip rotation, shallow the club, do all this, do all that, how to swing the golf club. But there's actually not that much on how to play good golf. And ultimately, what's the point in having a sexy swing, something that aesthetically might look really good, but you can't play golf. You don't have the tools to be an elite level golfer. You can maybe hit a 7-iron off a flat lie flush, but how often does that happen on the golf course? So I'm going to do a lot more of these. They're going to be random because I don't know how I'm going to play, but that's golf. And when we come across different scenarios, run you through different options. Things that might work for me might not work for you. However, if I run through all the options as a coach, what are the options? How can you play these shots? You can try them, find out what works for you. I think that's ultimately the key. There's so many different ways to play this game, and hopefully a few more of these videos gives you a few more tools that you can go and play good golf with. So here we go, we've hit a decent drive. It's just off the edge of the fairway. Not bad for the first shot of the day. The lie is okay. It's pretty wet. A little bit of thick rough behind it. Sitting down a touch. And we've got quite a far distance to the green. So I think in this case, based on the lie and based on the distance, it's a par 5. But I think based on the lie, the fact that there's quite a lot of grass behind the ball, it's probably quite hard to make a really good contact. Ball's slightly above my feet, on a slight upslope. And then in terms of distance, I am 247 yards to the pin. So I think in this instance here, might be different. If I was on the fairway, I probably could get there. 3-wood goes about 240, 250. But this one, I've just got to accept I'm playing it as 3 shots. So before playing this shot and how to play it, I'm going to try and go into this with 100 yards. So I'm going to play it in reverse. So 247 to the pin. I'm going to take 100 yards off because that's how far I want to go in with the next shot. So hitting this shot 150, 147 is definitely doable. This needs more loft. We can't go into this with a hybrid or a wood, or we can, but the chances of being successful are definitely slimmer. So I'm thinking 7-iron, if I can just try and knock it 150. The lie is probably going to take a little bit of distance off it. And then in terms of the slope, we've got a slight upslope, so the shoulders have to run parallel with the slope. The ball's slightly above the feet. With the ball slightly above the feet, the face plane tilt goes this way, so the ball is more likely to start slightly to the left, which I think in this scenario helps because it's a slight dog leg right to left anyway. So we're going to play that. So that's what we're going to hit. We're going to hit the 7-iron and just knock it 150 down there, hopefully leaving 100 yards in. Gripping down a little bit just because that ball's slightly above my feet. And then it's not came out very nice. I've not struck it well. I've pulled it slightly. I might end up having a little bit more. So actually my hope is today, and this is never the case, that I don't play well. Just purely for the video, purely for your purposes, I kind of want to put it in some funky positions. That was a good example, wasn't the easiest lie. I want to put it in some positions that you guys might come across, maybe struggle with or don't know how to play that shot, and then ultimately help you guys as golfers. So I am not too fussed about shooting mega under par, playing great, hitting every fairway, every green. Probably doesn't make for a great course management video. So if it's a little bit scrappy, I'm okay with it. We're playing army golf, right, left, right, left. The lie's actually quite good. I'll show you guys the lie here. So yes, it's slightly long rough, but the grass is growing this way. It's a little bit wet, so what I've got to take into account is that there is a chance we could get a flyer. Grass growing forward and wet, so the ball's going to shoot off with less spin. And I'm 120 away. So I must admit, 120, obviously that last shot was poor. In between clubs, I think pitching wedge would normally go about 125, 130, potential flyer lie. However, my 50 goes about 110. Pins at the front, so there's definitely space beyond the green. There's definitely space beyond the pin. So worst case, if I'm a little bit long, then it would be okay. So I'm going to go with a smooth wedge this time. I would favour being slightly too long, 5 yards long, rather than being short here. So lie's pretty good, definitely not going to hinder me this time. It's not as bad as the last lie. Couple of practice swings behind, I've got my line. Come on. Keep drawing. Oh no, didn't commit to it. Short, front right, missed green in regulation, the divot went further than the ball. It's not a terrible miss, but it's definitely not ideal. So we're there in 3, par 5, first hole of the day, just getting warmed up. Front right of the green, this is definitely one that anything's possible, anything's doable here. You're at the side of the green, if you don't feel confident with chipping, you could putt it. If you don't feel confident using loft, you could bump and run a 7-iron. If you want to use a hybrid bump and run, you can hybrid bump and run. There's plenty of green to work with. It's on an up slope. So there's lots and lots of different options here. There's definitely not a one size fits all. I quite like a little 50 degree, which my plan here is to land it about here, so probably about halfway. Bounce, bounce, hopefully a little bit of spin control from a decent strike, and then stop. It's a little bit wet, so club face, ball, grass, all a little bit wet. So there's definitely not going to be as much spin as normal, but there'll still be a decent amount of a good strike. So I've got my landing spot, my practice swing is based on where I'm going to land the ball, and the loft of the club makes it roll out. So I'll take that. Landed on the spot, bit of a dodgy bounce, not that happy with that, but it's pin high and the distance was good. So I ended up in a good spot. We've got about a 3-foot putt for a par. Bit of advice, and this is one of the most common errors. Don't just walk up and tap it in. Don't just do this. You'll miss a lot more than you should. This is every bit as important as your drive off the tee. This is every bit as important as any other shot. If anything, it's probably more important because we should be making all of these, or certainly very, very high 90%. So mark your ball, go through your normal routine, have a couple of practice swings, have a mental image of the ball going in the hole, try and hear the ball going in the hole, almost have that sort of sound, hearing it go in the hole. Take your normal step, go through your normal routine, and make sure you don't miss these, because every shot matters. These ones matter a lot. We definitely don't want to be dropping shots from here. Yes, we're going to have some dodgy drives, some dodgy iron shots, but get good from inside 5 feet. Treat it as every bit as important as the full shots, and even if you just stop missing a few of these, that could get your scores down by 2, 3, 4 shots per round. So here we have the 14th hole at Caprington Golf Club. It is a 364 yard par 4, constant upslope. So it probably plays about 380, 390 minimum. Okay, definitely plays longer. Tee shot's quite important here. Trying to just get something less. Distance obviously matters, but I think accuracy on this hole is important. I'm trying my best not to look at trouble. I'm trying to imagine a good shot. I'm trying to have a mental image of a good shot here. So I've got a line of the pin. If I can sort of fade it off the pin, then there's definitely more room down the right hand side. That is the goal for this shot, to sort of coil, open up the body, and hit a nice little fade here. That is the plan. So behind the ball, pick your target, pins the start line, little bit of a fade from there. That is the plan. Might not go my longest, but put myself in a good position for the next one. Little bit of a draw. And the mic went flying. And so did the magnet. Don't think that likes. Not sure if that's a fan of the Gili. Oh well, the drive was good. So it's down the line of the pin, should be in a good position for the next one. So microphone back intact again. A lot of people ask what to do between the ball. And remember, I always try and give you advice as a coach. I'm a full-time coach, play maybe once a week, twice a week. Love the game, would love to play all the time, but also love coaching. So think of all my advice, obviously as being a decent golfer, but more so as a coach. So my advice when you're not hitting your shot, just try and look above the horizon. Too many people look down at their feet, go on their phone, think of the bad shots that they've hit all the round, moan about the 3-putt, and constantly think about the past. Or if you're on a score, right, okay, I'm on the 14th here. If I can go par, birdie, bogey, hit a good shot on 17, hit a nice one on 18, that's a net 60. I'm going to get the best score I've ever had. I'm going to cut my handicap. Disaster. Don't think about it. One shot at a time. Try and switch off between holes. Remember, we're out here for about 4 hours, sometimes longer. So to try and concentrate or think about golf purely every single shot for 4 hours, that's mentally draining. So concentrate on every shot when you're at the ball. In between, try and switch off, have a chat, look above the horizon, try and relax a bit. Don't think of anything that's going to stress you out. Golf's hard enough. So we have arrived, second shot, 14th hole, or second hole in the video. Look at the fairway, super narrow. So actually being off the left side is not too bad. Lie is decent. It's sitting up slightly. Again, grass growing slightly behind. Rough is wet. We're used to that in Scotland. And distance-wise, we have 103. It was all carry on that shot, didn't get much run out at all. 103 uphill, probably plays a bit closer to 110. So I've got gap wedge here. The good thing is, again, because it's wet, and what we've got to remember is spin is friction. If the club face is wet, if the grooves aren't clean, if the ball's wet, it's not a recipe for spin, which I think in this case is good. Because if it was dry and in a spinny lie, there's a chance that the ball could sit. Whereas this favours the ball landing and maybe even releasing slightly, which is a good thing. So on the pin, it's pretty central, so I'm going at it. I've got a wedge in my hand. Let's see how we get on. It's a good line, it's fading, it's on the pin. Ooh, it did actually spin. I think it's maybe a fraction short. These divots are going miles today. Probably a bit short, I can see it, it looks good from here. But I do think it's going to be one of those ones, looks great, and then you're like 20 feet away. So we'll see. Change of plan. It's one of those that look good in the air, look good from a distance, and it is good. Happy days. Being able to read lies in the rough is definitely a bit of a skill. So something that can happen, trial and error to be honest, but obviously from videos like this, understanding what the lie looks like, what the ball's going to do, how the ball spins, these things are important. Reading putts from far away and from lower gives you a better perspective, so always read them far away and from as low as possible. So it's uphill, slightly right to left, and a good birdie chance. I'm going to go a little bit firmer with this one so there's less break. Maybe it wasn't as firm, but we've got it. So I think, yeah, definitely reading greens, go as far back as you can. When you read it, go as low as you can, because you'll get a different perspective from here than what you will from here. Have a read from the sides, you'll then get a much better perspective of whether it's uphill, downhill. So definitely how you read putts can also be quite important as well. Okay, third hole of the video, third hole of the course management lesson. So we've got a par 4, 340 yards, it's downhill, and really getting the good tee shot away is probably the number one priority. So maybe if you can carry these trees, driver's definitely worth doing. If you are worried about maybe hitting it a little bit slicey or a little bit left or right, maybe you just hit it to 200, and then from there you then have 140 in. So that might be a hybrid, that might be a 4-iron, whatever that may be for you, and that could help you keep the ball in play. Tee shots like this can be intimidating. Trees on the left, trees on the right, OB down the right. You've got to stand on this tee and imagine a good shot. You've got to pick a line, narrow your fairway down. So I'm going between the bunker and the pin. That is my line. I'm going to focus solely on that, not let anything else sneak into my head. And focus on that line and really commit to that line. And it's on it. Wasn't the best strike, but it's down the middle, and I know it's not a long hole enemy, so we'll be going in with wedge. And obviously it's much easier said than done. I will get on a tee and I will randomly think about the trouble. Right, don't hit this one right, don't hit this one left. But what you've got to try and do is most of the time, regardless of how you're hitting it, and yes, it's easier if you're hitting the ball well, you're hitting the ball straight, it's easier to think about these things, there's no doubt about it. It's like chipping. Easy to tell someone that has the yips or they're struggling with their contact. Right, think about the landing spot, where should you release the club? Think about your landing spot, that's where you want to release the ball. Think about the shot. Someone struggling with chipping stands over the ball and just fears bad shots. So it's definitely something that gets easier the better you get, but try and stand on tees, and if you tell yourself, oh, there's a bunker, there's out of bounds, that's all your brain hears. So the last thing that you hear before you hit the shot is bunker or trees, or basically your attention is on the hazards where you don't want to go, and you've basically given your brain that direction to go that way. So think of your brain as a sat nav. Which destination do you want? Tell it the destination. I don't know that. So if you don't want to get lost, tell yourself where you want to go. Yes, you're going to put bad swings on it. I could have hit a really bad shot there. It wasn't brilliant, but it was straight. And yeah, but always put the correct destination into the sat nav. Don't get lost. Not seen one of those in a little while. We've had good weather here, but it was raining a lot yesterday, so pitch mark, not really much run out at all. However, it's a short par 4 and we have 80 yards to the pin. So we've got 80 yards on the pin, and this is when it's absolutely crucial to knowing how far you carry your wedges. Definitely a great exercise to do is just find out how far all wedges go with a quarter swing, with a half swing, with a 3/4 swing and a full swing. So 4 distances with each wedges. If you only have one, maybe start with 2 or 3 and start to get good at those. But how often do you get a full wedge? This is a good example. My full sand wedge could go up to about 90 yards. So carry distance. So if I go 3/4 and quite firm, then I've got a good chance, or feeling like 3/4, it might not look like that, then I've got a good chance of carrying this ball 80 yards. So if you don't know how far you carry wedges with different lengths of swings, either you need to work on your contact so that you can start to do that, or if your strikes are good, you definitely have to do it. It gives you so much more confidence when you know exactly how far different lengths of swings go. So 3/4 and firm. The pin's cut slightly right. It's not far off the bunker, so I'm going to aim about 5 feet to 10 feet left. I think if I can knock this pin high, it's still a good birdie chance. So taking something off it, make sure we're narrowing the stance, favouring the left side, pivoting around the left side. You don't want to be moving off this. That will really help the contact as well. So narrow, weight left, 3/4, firm, ball right of centre. Oh, it's thin. That is dreadful. Oh, what on earth was that? That was a horrible shot. But there's a good example, so that's terrible, but you need to just accept it. Shot's done. No mulligans allowed. So you need to accept it. It's off the green. We're going to have to just move on. You are going to be annoyed, but rip your glove off, have a 10-second rule. Once you start walking, you have to forget about it and focus on the next one. So I think this bit's crucial. I can either walk to this next shot and go, awful, I've ruined a good birdie chance, that was the worst shot ever, I hate golf. I'm sure we've all said it, I've said it millions of times. What's the point? You then go over to the next shot, and then it turns that shot into a bad one, then it turns the next shot into a bad one, and then you walk off with a 6, and then it just snowballs into more and more. So I'm annoyed. That's a terrible shot, especially for me. I shouldn't be hitting an 80-yard shot thin through the back into the trouble, but that's golf. So accept it, move on, see what we've got. It's over the back of the green. Hopefully the lie's okay, and just got to try and get up and down. So there he is there. There's the culprit. Terrible golf shot through the back of the green. Just not very good, but the lie's okay. I've got plenty of green to work with. Focus on the positives. So I need to hit a good shot here. Let's just make sure that it's just trying to put ourselves in a position that I can have a putt for par. Sometimes you just need to accept, well, not accepting bogey, but we don't want to make double from here. That's the key. Keep the doubles off the card. So a little bit wet. I'm going to put the ball back in my stance slightly to minimise how much grass gets between ball and club, but also to let the ball release a little bit when it gets onto the green. So that is the plan. Aim slightly left of the pin, lower flight, sand wedge, and let the ball release. And again, I've not got annoyed at that shot, the previous shot. I've turned up to this one, focused on this one, not that really bad second shot. And then I've put myself in a position where I can make par, worst case bogey. Maybe that's where I should have been after shot 2, but we're here after shot 3. So again, treat this shot, be present, treat it every way. Treat it the way you would with every other shot. Stay present, focus on this one. Get a read, probably need to go a little bit further back here. Get low, get a nice read. If in doubt about whether it's uphill or downhill, take a look from the side. It's fairly level, it's not got too much on it. Pick your line. And hopefully roll it in. And if anybody's wondering about my pre-shot routine, I just like looking at the hole instead of focusing on the putter head. Look at the hole, match up this practice swing with the length of swing that I need. I think that's another thing that's important when you play. Whether you do it from behind or the side, that's up to you. And we've walked off with 4. So I've made the best of a bad situation, and I think that's key in golf. If I missed it and made bogey, yes, I'm not overly happy. But again, I think as a golfer, if we can keep doubles off the card, don't let one bad shot snowball into 5 bad shots, 4 bad holes. So now, yes, I've thinned it, I hit a terrible shot, awful shot, but I've made par. I'm going to the next hole. I'm 1 under for these 3, and I can go in the next tee not even thinking about bad shots from previous holes. I'm actually probably happier that I managed to scrape a par out of that one than what it would be if I hit the green with a wedge and 2 putted, if that makes sense. So hopefully if you can take that away, that will make a big difference to your golf as well. So this hole is difficult. It is a par 3, 180 to the middle, pins at the back of the green, so it's probably more like 190 on the flag, and it's uphill, tiny green. So yes, you want to hit the green, but don't have some sort of massive expectation that you are definitely going to hit the green. It's golf, it's difficult. If you can get it there or thereabouts, give yourself a chance for par, great. Stroke index 4, so it's one of the most difficult holes on the course. If you make bogey, again, not that that's the plan, that is no disaster. You probably haven't lost any shots on the field. Pins on the left, I'm just going to completely ignore that. I'm going to aim for the middle of the green, and I'm going full out 5-iron to try and get the distance. So, centre of the green, probably centre to right is better based on where the pin is. Right, centre to right of centre is good. Or shank it right. 4! Oh my goodness. That's so far right. Not short-sided myself. Awful. That's possibly one of the worst shots I've hit in a while. It wasn't a shank, but I pushed that so far right. I was definitely aiming too far right, now that I think about it. And then I pushed it. So I was probably aiming 5-10 yards right of the green. Big block. Definitely fearing hitting the left side. But again, it's fine. No point in getting annoyed. On some holes, that's a lost ball. There's no doubt about it. But it's okay. Oh, there we go. It's like another par 3. It's actually not that far offline. The lie is okay. It's definitely not going to be a spinny lie again. It's quite dense. There's a lot of grass behind the ball here. So you're going to have to give this a bit of extra speed. The ball's going to come off a little bit dead and sort of puff off. I think in this case, because I'm still quite far away, it's worth a little Bushnell. 40 yards, that's kind of what I was thinking, to be perfectly honest. And based on that lie, it's quite dense, quite thick. I'm definitely going to have to give it a bit of extra speed. I'm going to aim slightly left of the pin, and I've got lob wedge. And I think the key to this one is rotate, rotate. Continue the acceleration of your body. Do not stop the body. I think that's absolutely crucial, because if you give up on it, don't accelerate enough, you could hit that fat one short of the bunker or in the bunker. So 40 yards, that's going to be a good solid half to 3/4 swing with my lob wedge. Plenty of speed. Popped up, and not too bad. Tell you what, the long game's not great, but the short game's getting better. I'm not hitting it left. If you saw any of my Portugal videos, I couldn't stop hitting it left, so that's gone. That's a bonus. There we go, just tap it in. So, played a great shot from there. I'm delighted with that. Can't ask for much better. Bunkering away, heavy rough, tiny green, no spin, probably landed about there, and I've given myself a good chance of a par on a really difficult hole. Sometimes you could nearly hit the green and still walk off with a bogey on this hole. So it is slightly left to right. Cup's sitting at a really strange angle, but I think at this case, you'll obviously see aim point. I can feel it's going that way. Don't be too deceived by the cup. If you've got one sort of dodgy eye, close it and rely on your dominant eye. So for me, my left eye is pretty bad. If anybody knows me, I can't see a thing. So sometimes I close my left eye, read the putts. I can trust it a little bit more with my right eye compared to my left eye. And let's put a nice stroke on it for the par. Poor stroke, big push, the read was fine, and we walk off with a 4. Again, not a disaster. As I said on the tee, this is a hole that if you bogey this in a competition, a medal, you probably don't lose shots on the field. There'll be people making double bogeys in the bunker, short side themselves, and it follows by, we've got a par 5 next. If you play that hole well, you can make up that shot. So yeah, not too disappointed. Bogey's okay, back to level par. A couple of funky shots in the previous 2 holes, but we've not turned it into doubles or had any sort of scorecard explosion. I think that's key. Reading the lie, accepting poor shots. Us as pros, I'm not the best pro in the world, but I hit bad shots. And you've got to accept it, deal with it, make the most of it. This is a 17th hole, par 5. It's about 480, and there's a little bit OB down the right. So OB's down the right. We are level par, so this is a good opportunity to hopefully get a score. Again, no expectations, one shot at a time. That should be one of the biggest lessons from today. I'm going to favour the left-hand side, because even down the left, the trouble's not that bad. There's a few trees, there's a little bit of thicker rough, but nothing major. So I'm going to favour the left side. If we get a nice little fade on it, that's magic. If we don't, it's no disaster. So again, behind the ball. So I'm going to aim at these 2 tall trees sticking up. Coil, coil, coil. Oh. Unwind, unwind, unwind. That's my swing thoughts. Using my body better and not being as armsy. Not swinging brilliant at the moment, but I am working on it. Come on. Well coiled backswing here. Not a brilliant strike, but it's on the line of the 2 trees. It's a sort of left to right slope, so it probably kicked that way. Can't see it, but So on the line, strike's not brilliant, line's good. So we'll take that and let's see where we are for the next one. So as you can see, golf's hard for us all. There's no doubt about it, golf is just hard. It's inconsistent in what it gives you. Everyone's shot pattern will have some sort of consistency. You might be a golfer that slices it a lot. I'm definitely a golfer that can hook and block, a little bit left, or block one out to the right with the bad ones. Probably when I'm playing my best golf, it's draw, but we all have tendencies. However, golf delivers inconsistent scenarios. So many different things. We've covered different lies today. We've covered different bad shots that I've hit and put the ball in a position. We've had a few different lies in the rough. It's not always the same. You've got to be able to treat it different. And I think videos like this is what are ultimately going to help you guys adapt, because that's what you've got to do to be a good golfer. You've got to adapt. Different scenarios, different shots. Think about what's going to happen, almost sort of preempt what's going to happen with that ball. That golf IQ. Dan Grieve likes to talk about golf IQ, and it definitely is something that really, really will help you as a golfer. Hopefully, if there's a few takeaways from today, it's accepting bad shots, it's understanding how far your wedges go, reading lies, take time before you actually go and hit it. Don't just put your bag down and walk 40 yards with a club because your ball's in the rough. You don't know how it sits. You've got to go and take a look. Picking target lines, having a solid pre-shot routine, being present, lots of different things. There's so many different things to being a good golfer. I'm not as good as I would like to be, but if we can start to do all these things, you start to tick the box of how to get scores down, how to make the most out of your round. I'm probably making the most out of my round so far. I've hit 1 green in regulation, 4 holes, level par. That's crucial. Get good with your short game, practice your short game, check out my short game videos, and yeah, it's just that constant work in progress. Oh, this could be, this is risk or reward, I think. There's a fairway bunker just short of the green. 205 to the bunker, 220 to the green. If anybody knows me well, I've always got a ridiculously big bottle of water on me. I think it's worth the risk. 210 carry, slight downslopes is going to go a little bit further and launch a little bit lower. So if I go hybrid, I could maybe squeeze a bit extra out of it. But I think in this scenario, obviously, if you can reach the green, then it's probably worth the dig. If you can't, you make sure you don't go in the bunker. So you would find out the distance to the front edge. So 205 to the back, say in this instance it's probably 190 to the front. You play a club that absolutely does not go 190. You don't even play a club that goes 185. You make your max distance 180, so if you flush it, it's still short of the bunker and you're pitching on. I think that's just the decisions that you've got to make. Can I reach? Yes. Is it worth the risk? Possibly. Probably in most cases. They can play the bunker shot. If they do go in it, then you go for it. If your bunker plays really bad from 30-40 yards, don't do it. Go max 180, hit it slightly short, and then wedge on with the next one. So it's weighing up that whole risk or reward. Almost predict that. What happens if I hit a bad shot here? Where would my ball be? Am I okay with that? Am I good from there? Or do I play the different tactic? Do I hit at 150 and leave myself 70? Those are the things that have to go through your head before you even pull something out your bag. Don't just whip something out and have a look and do what your mates are doing. Think about how you're going to plot your way around this hole. So I've got slight downslope. That's hopefully going to squeeze a bit extra. I've got the ball slightly below my feet, so I know I need to do a couple of things. I need to hold up the grip a little bit more. A slightly steeper plane, a little bit more up and down, is going to help with the strike, but also help create a little bit of a fade on it, which is probably not a bad idea here. So I'm going to go a little bit more upright, up and down. That's definitely my bad swing anyway, so that can help. Aiming slightly left, and I need to give it the full beans. I need to give it the full boona, or it's not getting there. 3 wood's too much, and on the downslope it's probably too low lofted because it's a 13.5 degree, but let's go with the hybrid. Didn't strike it good, got the fade, it's going to be in the bunker. Oh, it landed straight in it. I had to hit that good and I didn't hit it that good. So I'm in with the bunker. I did take that into consideration. That's part of the risk, and unfortunately it didn't pay off on this occasion. Oh, I tell you what, I got lucky. It's pretty wet. I did think it plugged. Landed right here and jumped out, so happy days. So it's almost a greenside bunker shot. It's close, but it's a little bit further away than greenside. Probably about 25 to 30 yards. I'm not using lob wedge with this one, I'm going to use sand wedge, so it's 54 degrees, just so it goes a little bit lower and possibly releases a little bit, rather than just stopping dead when it hits the green. I mean, it probably will still be a bit spinny, but I want something to release its way to the flag, rather than fly its way to the flag. So bunkers, wide stance, weight left throughout the whole shot, chest to target. Oh, come on. Didn't commit to that one. Maybe with a 50, less loft, that would have been pretty good. But definitely didn't commit to it as much as I should have. That's quite a common thing. If the pin's at the back, it's easy to do that. The last thing you want to do is fly the green and go over the back and make a bogey. Yes, it's not a great birdie chance, but could still hold it. You never know. Right, putt for birdie. Flag's out. Flag never stays in for a birdie putt. No chance. Unless you're 50 feet away. It's never staying in. Get it out. Be positive. Plan on making it. And let's see. Just controlling speed on this one's the most important thing. The line. There's not too much break in this putt. So I'm going to focus a lot more on speed rather than line. So try and control the speed right. Try and get a good speed. And you never know, this might drop. Travel. Okay with that, tap in. So tap in par, the 5 holes complete, and hopefully a few lessons learned for you guys. So there we have it. Obviously there's 5 holes, no idea what we're coming into, just randomly chatting through what I see, what I think, different options. That bunker shot, for example, you could use lob wedge and fly it all the way. You could use sand wedge, land it here, let it release a little bit. You could use 50 or pitching wedge because it was such a low lip, land it at the front, release it all the way. So there's lots and lots of different ways to do it. After quite a lot of videos, we might come across lots and lots of different scenarios. But I think the takeaways from today are know your wedge distances, because how often do you get a full wedge? Be present. Take every single shot at a time. I hit some stinkers in those 5 holes, but still managed to finish level par. And both on the 3rd and 4th hole of the video, one thinned wedge into a bad situation, one blocked 5-iron into a bad situation. Actually walked off and sort of made the most of both of those holes. So that's definitely one of the takeaways from today. Reading the lie. Don't just anticipate what it's going to do. You have to look and sort of start to learn. And even if you hit a bad shot, try and remember what happened when you had that lie. Where was the grass growing? How thick was the grass? And then over a period of time, you'll have a better understanding of what's going to happen from those lies. So lots of different lessons from today. If you found this useful, please do like and subscribe. There's still a good big chunk of viewers, over 80%, who aren't subscribed to the channel. And if you can subscribe, that helps grow the channel, reach more golfers, get more content and more good videos out there to help you guys with your golf. As always, if you're looking for any free coaching, click the link down below to my Skillis page. From there, you can send me some videos of whatever you like, from the golf course, from the driving range, send some swings and I'll analyse them, get a personal video feedback to you and give you a guide on what you can do to improve your game. If you're looking for even more free golf tips, there's another link down below where you can get weekly and monthly golf tips straight to your inbox. So check out the description links below. Thanks for watching and see you next time on the channel.